and good evening, our beloved viewers. It's 9 p.m. You are watching on live RTD channel. Welcome to this English news edition. Here are the major stories. The head of state sponsored the ceremony of laying of the first stones of the new headquarters. And on the regional scene, the Somali locust invasion declared a national emergency. Those were the headlines. Thanks for joining us in our newsroom. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, on Monday morning in Spencer, a ceremony dedicated to laying of the foundation stones for the new headquarters of the Intergovernmental Authorities on Development in the presence of the Sudanese Prime Minister, Head of State and Head of IGAD Presidency, Abdullah Hamdok, who is on an official visit to Djibouti. The Prime Minister, Abdul Qadir Kamel Mohammed, members of the government, in addition to the members of the diplomatic corps in Djibouti, and senior civilians, military personalities participate in these events. The Intergovernmental Authorities Development in a Sub-Regional Organization found in 1999 and which sponsored the regional cooperation and integration in the East African region and is based in Djibouti and includes the countries of the Horn of Africa. The areas of this regional organization is valued in headquarters and includes many administrative clerks. With the assistance of member states to promote and establish peace and security and encourage economic cooperation and regional integration. This initiative falls within the framework of a vision of Djibouti for a secure and prosperous Horn of Africa. In his intervention, the Executive Secretary of the Intergovernmental Authorities on the Development, IGAD, Mr. Rokine, indicated that the new headquarters of the Intergovernmental Authorities on Development is tangible evidence that plays a major role for economic integration. The new headquarters will see the light thanks to the peace that prevails in this country, Djibouti, which is located in East Africa. The Intergovernmental Authorities on Development has played an active role at all levels of the Sustainable Development Project, which indicates the capacity of the national and regional levels. In his intervention, the Executive Secretary of IGAD, Dr. Borkine Gabriel, said that IGAD is a new headquarters is a tangible proof that plays preponderant roles in the regional integration. Let's listen to him.
Quarter will be a tangible brick and mortar symbol of our effort toward regional integration in the Greater Horn of Africa. It will be emblematic of our desire to achieve peace and prosperity in this region. The building that will eventually be constructed here will set a firm foundation, provide safe sanctuary, and act as a citadel of inspiration for IGAD to pursue its mission to support member states in promoting and maintaining peace and security, as well as fostering economic cooperation and regional integration. Your Excellencies, In this region, IGAD straddles the gap between global institutions and individual states. We create an environment in which countries in the same neighborhood can work together as a network that delivers mutual benefits and reduce the risk of conflict. Regional organizations like IGAD are viewed as honest brokers that provide a safe space for countries that are affected by conflicts to open the avenue of dialogue. Regional organizations also play a key role in monitoring the implementation of commitments made by the global level. For example, at the Global Refugee Forum held a month ago in Geneva, IGAD has recognized globally as the region that had recorded the most progress in implementing the objectives of UN Global Compact on Refugees.
In a speech to the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Mohamed Ali Yusuf, on this occasion expressed his happiness to participate in this historical event. Let's listen to him.
It's an honor for me to attend this groundbreaking ceremony of IGAD new headquarters. It's even a greater honor to say a few words at this historic event. Since its inception in 1986, our organization has gone through difficult times. Some were predicting its collapse due to numerous crises prevailing in the region. Although recognized by the African Union as a regional community, economic community, IGAD was faced with challenging political stalemates that have hindered its integration plan. However, things are changing and improving. IGAD has a new structure, a new chairperson, Dr. Abdallah Hamdok, a new executive secretary, Dr. Werkene Gebeyehu, and soon new premises. The new charter is almost ready and should also be adopted by our leaders in the near future. What an outstanding achievement. I would like to seize this opportunity to congratulate our Executive Secretary, Dr. Werkene. Although newly appointed, he is adamant to revamp the Secretariat and set a new course for our organization. We also recognize the tremendous work done by his predecessor, Engineer Mahbub Ma'allin, and all IGAD staff members to keep the organization afloat in stormy political environment in our region over the years. Besides, men of women and women of goodwill beyond our region continue to believe in our organization and its capacity to play its role as a peace driver and integration powerhouse. There is no doubt, and the saying goes, like you all know, when there is a will, there is a way. IGAD must remain our regional common house where we clear out our differences, work for the benefit of the peoples in our region, and bring about transformation inputs to development processes. Thank you all for your commitment, and let us chart together a new way to our organization. And I thank you.
For his part, the Sudanese Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok indicated in his speech that the governmental authorities for development. Let's listen to the Sudanese Prime Minister.
We could confidently call it, what a momentous day. This is for us as IGAD family. It is also a very special day for the Republic of Sudan as the new chair of IGAD. We are indeed humbled and privileged to co-preside over the groundbreaking ceremony for the new IGAD headquarters. This ceremony is much more than just about the breaking of ground or the laying of the foundation stone. What today signifies is an important rite of passage in the history of IGAD. IGAD is now achieving a new state of maturity with the support of its partners, the member states, and its friends, and the IGAD partners in the international community. I would like to take this opportunity at this time to recognize the singular effort and unwavering support that His Excellency President Ismail Omar Guelleh, the Republic and the people of Djibouti have extended to IGAD. Djibouti has been a most gracious host to IGAD since its inception in 1996, and even 10 years before that, in its previous incarnation as the Intergovernmental Authority for Development and Drought Control. This prime piece of land, measuring 1 hectare or 10,000 square meters, was a gift graciously donated by the government and the people of Djibouti, and for that we thank them greatly. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, there is a wise saying that those who want to build high must first dig deep. It is in this spirit that I would like to call upon other IGAD member states, our partners, and world wishers to dig deep and in a very tangible way emulate the generosity of Djibouti in supporting the vision of IGAD.
For his part, the head of state, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, stressed in his intervention on this occasion the rules of the governmental development authorities to consolidate peace and stability and advance the wills of development in the region. Let's listen to the head of state.
À mon tour de clôturer cet important événement qui concrétise aujourd'hui une nouvelle ère.
Now it's my turn to close this important event, which today marks the beginning of a new era. A new era for our IGAD organization. 34 years after its inception, we have built this organization around an ideal of development cooperation, an ideal of maintaining peace and harmony among member states. 34 years on, we are fortunate to have a new secretary. I must congratulate our brother and the other one. We are also fortunate to have Dr. Abdullah Hambouk as president of our organization, with this new building that will symbolize further development and progress, the hope of our organization. We would like to congratulate the dynamism, the experience of our brother's diplomacy to lead the affairs of our organization, IGAD, with a new dynamism and bring a new air to our organization for its indispensable role for the Horn of Africa in the soil. In its integration and the example it sets for the rest of the continent, the organization is tirelessly doing. Leading the development affairs and regional integration of our organization is the part of West Africa. With this new dynamism and the new president of our brother Abdullah, we are convinced that we will be able to move forward and develop our region in friendship, fraternity, and unity. Thank you very much.
Avec ce nouveau dynamisme et la nouvelle présidence de notre frère Abdallah Hamdouk, nous sommes convaincus que nous serons à même d'aller de l'avant et de développer notre région dans l'amitié, la fraternité et l'unité. Merci beaucoup.
After a series of awards, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, laid the foundation stones for the new headquarters of the Intergovernmental Authorities on Development, known as IGAD, accompanied by Sudanese Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok, the current head of organization. In an interview with the head of state, he said our wish for the development and territorial integrity of our brothers and provision which for unity, accession, and solidarity in the future of logistic takes responsibility, God's willing strengthening on this project.
الانضمام والتضامن في في مستقبل المنطقة.
After his meeting with the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Margele, and after a meeting for the delegation of two countries, Sudanese Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok visit the economic structures, especially to the port of Djibouti. The Sudanese Prime Minister was accompanied on this visit by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Mohammed Ali Yusuf, and the Minister of Trade, Hassan Hamad Ibrahim. The Sudanese Prime Minister and his delegation were received upon their arrival. The port of containers, the head of port authorities and free zones, Mr. Abubakar Umar Hadi. The port infrastructure is the vital artery of the Djibouti country. This welcome Mr. Hadi, the Sudanese delegation led by the Sudanese Prime Minister. The Sudanese delegation continued its visit to the multiple purpose of Dorale, where Mr. Abdullah Hamdok praised the development of the modern infrastructure that our country enjoys and which brings foreign investor to the country. At the end of this visit, a memorial photo was taken between the Sudanese delegation and the Djiboutian authorities. Still, as part of the visit of the Sudanese Prime Minister after his participation in the foundation stone laying ceremony for the new headquarters of the governmental authorities for development, which embrace the Horn of Africa countries, the Sudanese Prime Minister and his accompanying delegation visit the headquarters of Djibouti Telecom Company. The Sudanese Prime Minister was accompanied on this visit by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Mohammed Ali Yusuf, and upon his arrival at the headquarters, the Sudanese delegation was received by the Minister of Information in charge of Post and Telecommunication, Mr. Radwan Abdullah Baton, and the employees of the company. During this visit, the Sudanese Prime Minister and his delegation briefed on the technical capability of Djibouti communication and modern advanced infrastructure, thanks to the marine cables that runs from Djibouti to the rest of the other African countries. This Sudanese Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok thanked him for the warm reception and generous hospitality extended to him and his accompanying delegation, praising at the same time the recent and advanced development enjoying the Djibouti Telecom Company in order to serve the country of the region. After a working visit to Djibouti of 48, accompanied by a strong Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok left Djibouti in the early afternoon. He was greeted at the airport by Foreign Minister Mohammed Ali Yusuf, the Minister of Communication, and the Ambassador of Sudan, and by the country's civilian and military authorities, including the Secretary General of the Presidency and the Director General of the Security, Hassan Said Khairi, arriving yesterday in Djibouti. He had a first meeting with the President Gile, followed by a board relation between the two delegations of the country that share common values and interests in the Horn of Africa. Two founding members of the IGAD and also members of the African Union and the Arab League and the Islamic Conference. The Sudanese delegation, led by the Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok, noted the appreciations to Djibouti progress in the development and modernization of a port and telecommunication infrastructure. During the laying ceremony, the first of the Sudan, Abdullah Hamdok, recognized the effort of the Republic of Djibouti and the regional organization of IGAD created in the Republic of Djibouti to combat desertification in Africa at the beginning of subsequently promote development in the members country of the IGAD. The National Assembly, organized in the collaboration with the European Union and the Interparliamentary Union, the parliamentary caravans in the framework of PRAN project. The PRAN project aims at strengthening the National Assembly for the promotion of the protection of human rights. The theme chosen for this series of parliamentary caravans is combating violence against women and girls and human rights. This important event was made possible thanks to the financial and strategy support of the European Union and the support of the Interparliamentary Union. The caravans also serve to inform local representative and the representative of civil society on the action of the National Assembly and to collect their grievances in order to follow them in the National Assembly with regard to violence against women and girls. The President of the National Assembly, Mohamed Ali Hamid, urged the participants to unite their effort to put an end to this scourge. He also said, the President, the Regional Council said and welcomed the participants and wished them fruitful exchanging to the arrival of the common solution that will serve the entire population of the Republic of Djibouti. Mr. Matthew, the PRAN project leader, also took the floor to stress the importance of maintaining a constant dialogue between elected members of the National Assembly, regional elected representative, and the representative of civil society. In his opening speech, the President of the National Assembly recalled that the principle of the parliamentary caravans is to enable PMEs to meet the representative of civil society, regional elected representative, and local authorities. He also said that an important bill was under discussion in the National Assembly and that local authorities were at the forefront of the implementing figures legislative provision. Under the auspice of Representative Sharmake, the Committee of Economic, Finance and Planning held an extended session to the Legislation and Public Administration Committee. It was on the agenda of the meeting to discuss draft law number 66 for the years 2020. The legislators regarding the establishment of the sovereign fund of Djibouti. Sovereign fund aims to better manage the public treasury supplies and achieve serving for the future generation. Is stated on the mission will be to invest the economic fabric of profitable project with the high potential for the job creation and joint investment with the national and international investors in the project that enhance. The Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity, Ms. Muna Osman Aden, received a courtesy visit from the regional director of the IOM office for the East Africa and the Horn of Africa, Mr. Mohammed Abdul Qadir, accompanied by the IOM representative in Djibouti, Mr. Ashraf Kamil, and they thank the Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity for for receiving her, and congratulate for the effort of her department for the action in favor of a vulnerable population, especially during the last bad weathers. He did not fail to express his unfailing support, as well as that the organization he represents towards this same disastrous population. He therefore offered technical support of the necessary. The two parties does address several subjects of a common interest, including the forthcoming presentation of the results of internal studies on migration carried out in collaboration with the Secretary of State for Decentralization, with the financial support of IOM. Discussion also focus on the relevance of setting up programs to help the people living in the rural areas in the partnership with the various sectorial partners, such as the Secretary of State for Decentralization, a key partner. Also, the Minister of Labor, Mr. Isman, received this Monday morning in his cabinet Mr. Mohammed Abdul Qadir Mohamud, the Regional Director of International Organization for the Migration, known as IOM, the Regional Office for the East and Horn of Africa. Mr. Mohammed Abdul Qadir was accompanied by Ms. Barbara Menzi, resident coordinator of the United Nations system in Djibouti. During the meeting, the two sides discussed a number of issues of a common interest, including regular and irregular migration, the flow of migrants to Somalia, Ethiopia, and Eritrea through Djibouti to the Gulf countries via Yemeni reference was also made to the rules of IOM Regional Office for the East and Horn of Africa, which, in addition to Djibouti, oversees the countries in the region. In this region, Mr. Mohammed Abdul Qadir took the office in August 2019 as a regional director for the IOM office for the East Africa and the Horn of Africa. He reported directly to the Director General and represent him in regional institution within the United Nations system. A training workshop on the public expenditure review and financial accountability assignment program at the People's Palace in the presence of the Secretary General of the Ministry of Budget with the senior World Bank official. The PEFA, Public Expenditure Review and Financial Accountability Assignment Program, otherwise known by its acronyms, is a state budget management system that emphasizes central government and decentralization service. In other words, it is a tool for evaluating the performance of a public financial management, but also provides information on the budget preparation and executions process, and make it possible to measure the adequacy between the current system and the optimal levels of the public financial management system in the lines with the international standards. This training workshop, which will last 2 days, has brought together, in addition to the senior public finance executive, some 35 identified resource persons from several departments of the administration. The Secretary General of the Ministry of Budget expressed in his speech his satisfaction with the organization of this workshop. He pointed out that the PF its exercise examined the sixth dimension. He also said that this training is part of the framework of strengthening the administration in the financial system by putting in place a mechanism of good governance between the administration and its citizens. The president of the Tajura Regional Council yesterday initiated an important workshop on the promotion of appropriation in the Tajura region. To do so, several high-ranking personalities were invited, such as the prefect of Tajora Hassan Dabale, the Turkish ambassador to Djibouti, and the resident coordinators of the national of the United Nations system, Ms. Barbara Menzi, and the European Union ambassador, Mr. Aidan O'Hara, national partners such as the Center for Leadership and Entrepreneurship represent at this workshop by the directors general, Ms. Obah Ahmed, the Director General for the RDDS, Mahdi Mohammed, representative of resident NGOs in Tajura, such as the NGOs EVA, the National Gendarmerie, the National Police, and representative of the Agro-Pastoral Cooperative of Tajura, and also the civil society. The purpose of this workshop was to introduce a new method of agricultural cultivations called hydroponic. It is a modern agricultural method that favor water rather than soil. This project on for 3 years was finally initiated by the president of the regional council, Mr. Umar Hussein, and it is thanks to his very long experience in the agricultural file and his many travels that the president Umar Hussein had the ideas of the introducing these expensive and productive methods of hydroponics in experience in several countries, particularly in East Africa, and has been very successful. In the hydroponic agriculture can be carried out vertically and horizontally and does not require large areas and includes irrigation system. This method of farming not only involves the production of fruits and vegetables, but also allows grass and worms to be grown for livestock and other domestic animals. This method will be introduced very soon in the Tajora region and will then be extended to other regions to the country. In their respective intervention, the resident coordinators of the United Nations system, Ms. Barbara Menzi, and the ambassador of Turkey, and the ambassador of the European Union, Aidan O'Hara, said they were impressed by this method, which require a lot of cost. Let's listen to them.
We, the European Union, supporting resilience here through people is a great program for us. We're always looking for good ideas. How can we make the daily lives of people living better? I think that the morning's presentation gave us a lot of ideas, and now we need to reflect with our partners. If it's a system that works too, you have certainly worked hard. That's the TV. It's super interesting, especially because it comes with a proposal directly from the regions to the pound. It's not new here in Djibouti. There have been experiments before. Does it matter? It's really about taking the lessons learned and making formats. Whether it's a success or not, I'm sure it will be a success, and we have to work with the communities to make sure we really get there. At the point we are saying, there will be a good results for Djibouti and for the people of Djibouti. The Tajora President Fariba will be very beneficial for the Tajora region, and I think that this project will be well coordinated with the participation of all the international organizations of the United Nations, the European Union, and the organizations of Djibouti's international administrations. And also with this general support, and one day we will eat vegetables that are produced in the region of Tajora. This is not the reality. For example, there is an agro-pastoralist project there that has already been carried out by the Tiflis Optical Corporation Agency, and so even watermelons, eggplants, zucchini, salads have been or are being produced. And why not? Whether digging, we are talking about drilling wells, hydroponics.
The prefect of the region of Tajura, Hassan Dabale, took part in this important meeting in his capacity as the first person in charge of the region and as the representative of the state. In his intervention, he recalled the importance of these new methods for the farmers and stocks for of the region who are the first to be affected by the drugs and climate change. The director of the Center for Leadership and Entrepreneurship, Ms. Ubah Ahmed Malo, and the president of the NGOs, Ahmed Ali Muhammad, recall in turn the impact of this project and its benefits for this region of Tejura. Moving on to the international scene, the invasion of the locust sweeping across the Horn of Africa has been declared as the national emergency in Somalia. For more details, let's listen.
Invasion sweeping across the Horn of Africa has been declared a national emergency in Somalia, where the insects are devastating the food supply in one of the world's poorest and most vulnerable regions. The Somali Ministry of Agriculture announced on Sunday the Ministry of Agriculture is declaring a national emergency due to the current upsurge of locusts, which pose a major threat to the fragile food security situation in Somalia, it said in a statement. Somalia is the first country in the region to mobilize at the national level to combat the swarms of hungry locusts, whose emergence, experts say, is linked to extreme weather variations. Locust swarms of historic proportions, totaling several billion insects, have been devastating large areas of eastern Africa for several weeks now, following extreme climate variation that could prove catastrophic for a region already hit by drought and flood.
The UN is concerned about the situation of the displaced. This week, more than 45,000 children were forced to leave their homes, according to UNICEF. Details with our colleague Dini Musa.
Had serious repercussions on the humanitarian situation. The Turkish government has assured the UN that every effort is being made to ensure the protection of civilians and the infrastructure of which they depend. The hostilities in northeast Syria have caused significant population movement. In the past 2 weeks, nearly 180,000 people, including nearly 80,000 children, have fled south from the Turkish-Syrian border areas. Most are staying with friends and relatives, others in camps for the displaced or in collective shelters. As fighting have subsided in some areas in recent days, some of the displaced have started to return. More than 10,000 people have fled to Iraq since the beginning of military operations in the northeast. 710,000 people were displaced.
This is it for this edition. Thanks for watching and have a good evening.